Back to our exercise tracker AppInventor tutorial. We were just finishing the calculating the total, not saving the information. I'm just one video behind. Of course, if you're picking up in the middle, please check the description. You should have the full playlist, and you can start at video number 1. So we are doing this. The last thing was, test out your app to make sure it all works, which I did. It took a little while to build, and then with the AppInventor app, so you kind of need an app to just get the package. That just opens. You can just open that link in your, send that link to yourself by email. I have to say the app you install is not it's just something that it then redirects you into Chrome, and they will download an APK app package file. There's a whole bunch of security permissions you need to change because that's not a trusted developer and so on. But having done all that, I did get an error warning because, of course, on the first launch, the file exercisetracker.txt does not exist. So when we're on the screen when initialized, we're trying to read from the file, it does not exist. But it does get created the first time you input text, because in the first time you're going to be writing, when the button's clicked, the first time you input some time, like the exercise time, we're gonna write append to file exercise tracker, and if the file doesn't exist, it will be created. So I've tested it. It does work. It also, I can quit the app. It saves it. It's called Get Fitter because that's how I've called it here, and it comes with the little app icon, the MIT thing. So it all works. It's a shame you can't really test it in the browser, but it is fun to see your work in a real device. Be careful with those permissions, because don't install anything, because then technically you might also be installing something bad. Those things are meant to protect you, but yeah, what's life without danger? Resetting, part 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want to add a way of deleting all the previously entered data and starting the tracking again at 0. So let's add a button to do that. So designer, add a button, change label to reset, go to block, add a one button click. So designer, button, real quick, user interface, button. Le bouton. Can I get that centered? Would that be the text alignment? I would kind of fancy the actual object alignment within the. Is it a layout thing? Can I also do that? Alright, well, we'll see for that later. So that's delete. Yeah, we know how to do that. And we're going to need another on-click handler. So we go to blocks. We've got our second button, button 2 here. It's outside of the arrangement, and when button 2 is clicked, we should really, it is helpful to name, since we've got one button called enter and one called delete, it is probably helpful to change their name here. Let's see if that's done automatically, actually. So enter, which is text, is enter, but name, I need to rename it here. I'm going to call it enter. Now, will this automatically update? Yes, look at that. Now it's when enter is clicked. So now I can also do the same thing with, designer, with delete, which is button 2. Rename this to delete, so we know. That way, it's always helpful to name your things, right? Because then we can see, we've not got it here. So delete, when delete is clicked, dot click. Oh no, it's here. Yeah, we get it. Running out a bit of space, because I'm trying to kind of, how can I clean up? Yeah, it puts them one below the other. Oh well. When delete is clicked, what else are we going to do? Call file1.delete file name exercise tracker. That's fair. So that's a file block. We're just going to get it from here. Dot delete, second one. The file name is exercise tracker. Again, I'm just going to duplicate it. Ploop, that's fine. That's all done. Now you will create a brand new block of your own. Ooh, hello. To procedure, do. Okay. Purple, procedures. To procedure, do. And in our procedure, that we can define it. It's a bit like in Scratch, define your own blocks. So we're going to call it reset everything. What is a procedure? It's a bunch of code that we can reuse. Yeah. Instead of duplicating the same blocks everywhere, right? So inside the reset everything, we're going to set the global minutes list to an empty list, global time to 0, and the label to text. We're refreshing the label to text with the global total time. Right, so that's called reset everything. Now camel case as well, I think. Small r and then big E. I mean, as long as you call it the same way everywhere, it doesn't really matter, but if you want to be serious. So we're setting all of our globals, which are here, right? The minutes list is going to be set that to, that's a create empty list. Duplicate that. So you'll notice that we're just kind of doing the same thing. They're not exactly set. This one's an initialized, the other's a set. Oh, I've duplicated the whole thing. Right, just this one. Just this. I could have. Yeah, and total time set. Yeah. Plug my 0 in here. And yes. And also refresh the label, so it's just this thing, right? Set total text to get global total time. And presumably we are going to also call reset everything when delete is clicked after we've wiped the file. Yes, call reset everything. So that's a call block of the procedure we've just made. Procedures, call reset everything. Excellent. Now I should be able to clear the recording exercise, clicking a new button. I'm gonna move straight on to the next part. Record a message. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. We have the two: play, motivational message, and record. So in Designer, user interface. I'm really curious as to how can, all right. We're going to rename it as play. Play motivational message. And was it record and play? Well, doesn't really matter. We understand that one is for one, the other is for the other. Rename. I'm going to rename it to record and have its text also be record. Then for media, add a sound recorder component, just links it like the file component won't be visible on the screen. So it's media, sound and sound recorder. We need both. All right. We're gonna have a sound. Oops. And the sound recorder. So we need a touch down and touch up. So this is what's interesting. So you hold the record button, right? So we need to detect that the button is touch up. So like we start touching it, and touch up is when we stop touching it. And then we're gonna call our sound recorder and start and stop. So it's dead easy. 2 new event handlers. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna put anything to do with the I don't know how to organize my stuff. Well, always, when in doubt. Or, better yet, I'm going to collapse anything that is all done, and then clean up. And that should... Yes, brilliant. Right, okay. A couple of new handlers. The first one was record, sorry. Touch down and touch up for record. And on screen 1 we've got our sound recorder 1, which has also its blocks. You call the start and we call the stop. Excellent. And now how do we play? When sound recorder, after sound recorded. And in the sound component, find the set sound 1 source and put that inside the block you just took out. So sound recorder's got an event handler set that's after sound recorded. That's the name sound. So we now have a variable that contains the sound, and we're going to use the sound, which is like the sound as opposed to the sound. This is the sound variable. This is our sound object. So this is this is where, like, this is lowercase. This is how I know it's a variable, because it starts with a lowercase, whereas this is an object because it starts with an uppercase. Okay, so it's it's set sound1.source to get sound. Yeah. So the after sound recording has a variable called sound. That is the one we've just captured from the recording, and then we're actually storing that permanently. So that's going to sound1, and because instead of living as a little variable called sound that's only exists in between the the fingers of that. It looks more like the mouth of a okay, it's eating the thing. Now it's going to go into my sound1 object, which then persists and lives in the full native top level scope. And then finally we want to button click for play, and when the button click we call sound1, which is the sound object, remember, not the sound thing, and that's presumably stored as well on the there's a file behind this, right? Because it's kind of stored on the phone. So when the button play is clicked, we are going to sound1 play, call sound1 play. All right. Challenge, save the sound. Ah, this is good. So this is going to be valid because the sound1, since not a file, sorry, it lives in memory in that the app needs to be running. So we want save file instead of that. It's not .text, it would be .wav presumably, right? And save file instead of happen to file. I'm just going to do that real quick. So we'll want a new file. Storage file. Let's call that message blocks. Now so what did we do when we dealt with the file? We did a got text handler, but that's not going to help because we'll want to. Oh, it's the source, right? We can get the variable. I guess that's the text. It's going to serialize it. Serialize means save it, right? To text, and we're just going to convert it. And do we get text when screen 1 is initialized? So we've got our initialization context event handler for screen 1. So we're just going to add to the bottom of this a file that's purple, or we're going to just get it from message, right? Right, read from, so if it exists, and then we're gonna, this is a double quotes, .txt, and then after the sound's recorded, I'm going to want to use message and a save file, text, and file name, right? So in our message handler, the text is get sound. It's not really text, but it's bytes and it can be represented as characters more or less. I'm not super comfortable with that, but it works. Well, I hope. And the file name is this one. So again, duplicate it so I don't have to run the risk of a typo here. And let's not forget this. That doesn't do everything because we get read from, and this is going to read text. So we'll want a yes, when we want a got text, so we want a when message got text, right? Message when message got text, and we are gonna, I'm guessing, set the source of sound1 to get text. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. You don't really have to worry too much about the fact that, it's not actually text because it will be text. And let's collapse them all and clean up. Boom. All right. I'll see you in the next video for the final part, displaying the exercise history. Also, I'm going to rebuild my app and test it. So build app. See you in the next video.